Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Just doing another review on today's market action. Here's a monthly silver, and I just want to go over this one more time. This is a trend line, a multi-year trend line, month by month, and you can see that it went to a bottom, did a failure to reach the trend line, and then I went ahead and tried it again, failed, made another bottom, tried to, like I said before, I thought that this was going to be the breakout point, double bottom, but it ended up failing to reach the other side of the trend line, and now it's backing off, and as of today, it is still on a tether. It is just about at its breaking point, and I would say 14 is the breaking point. All the emotional points are at the even numbers, like the 14s, the 15s, the 16s. Those are the emotional parts. So once it goes below 14, I think it just will fall apart. Off to gold monthly chart. Went ahead and put some lines in here. Here's a support line, now a resistance line. Here's a multi-year trend line, and you can see how these whipsaws come into effect. You can see how it whipsawed. He thought, maybe it was going to break out right here, and then it whipsawed back into the pattern and then on to below the pattern. Here it made a double bottom, but then came across that support line into resistance line, and it made a tiny little bit of another whipsaw. And then what we call this pattern right here is called a bearish retracement. It breaks down, goes back up, hits the support line churned resistance, and then backs off. It's called a bearish retracement. And just on the flip side, it could also be called a bullish retracement if it broke on the upside and then retraced back to the support line. So this, I suspect that gold is going to definitely move lower. There's no doubt about it. This is a pattern that is well known, bearish retracement. Now here we go with the S&P 500. It seemed had a little kick today. It was up 2.25 points, or not very much today, but it was up. Here's a monthly chart, so I just want to go over this again. Putting my 2 points to start, and you can see the whipsaw, and you can see the action. Whenever you see a whipsaw, it is very dramatic on the other side. And then here we have, this is a monthly chart, so this whipsaw has to be confirmed as we go into December. This candle has to be set up to where it stays a whipsaw for the rest of the month. But as this looks right now, it looks bearish. And actually this is actually a weekly chart, so I wanted to go to the daily chart and show you actually I think I was in the right place. Hang on just 1 second. Weekly chart, I wanted to show you this pattern. You can see the left shoulder, you can see the head, and you can see the right shoulder forming now. Now, it's called a reverse head and shoulders pattern. And this is a whipsaw. That's a whipsaw. I imagine this right shoulder is going to happen quickly. The quicker that the shoulder is created and completed, the more bearish the pattern is. So if this takes this right shoulder, see here's the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder. Now I imagine the price is going to come up to this trend line as resistance. Even a failure to reach it would even be more bearish. But as this pattern completes, the faster it is that it completes, the more bearish. If it takes 6 months to complete this right shoulder, I mean, it could very well that this whole bearish scenario for the S&P to go down to 1600 or so might not ever come into fruition. But if this happens quick, there's already one indication that this is very bearish by a whipsaw. If this price does not go up to the trend line, it could be very well a very bearish pattern. And then thirdly, the faster this right shoulder completes and breaks down, the further this, the faster the chart will fall apart. And that's just my opinion, so take it as you will. That's what I witness a lot of the times. The faster the pattern completes, the more influence it has on future prices. I just wanted to go over the Nasdaq. And the Nasdaq is kind of funny because there's only 2 stocks in the Nasdaq that are really, really heavy weighted, and that's Apple and Google. It's something like a third of all of the Nasdaq pricing. So far so good on this thing. It hasn't broken down from its 2 points. It bounced off and it kind of just all the way up around this line, and that's in other words, this line right here could be a pivot point. I suspect this thing's going to come down, and when it does, it's going to come down hard. There's nothing holding it up but 2 stocks, Apple and Google, and once those things starts to break down and go with the rest of the market and follow the trend of down, this thing is going to fall apart really heavy. There's nothing holding it up. It's basically gone straight up since 08, which is free markets don't operate that way. So when this thing starts to break down, I think it's going to be very bad for the Nasdaq. And finally, the US dollar index. Here's the monthly chart again. And so far today we had a great day for the dollar. It was up like 50 cents or so. And come to think of it, I think it's very bearish, and this thing's going to come crumbling down because things like this indicate that it's gone parabolic and it's a bubble. But then I'm rethinking it as if we go through a state of high inflation, this is going to go very high compared to other currencies. It's just going to fly high. If we go into any kind of hyperinflation or any kind of crisis where they have to print a whole bunch of money, creating inflation, this thing's going to go higher, only because we're allowed to print money. If it was any other country, this thing would be in the mud. It would be worthless. And it should be worthless because we are closing in on 20 trillion in national debt and something like 200 trillion, something 1.3 per household, 1.3 million per household is owed towards this debt. And you got to ask yourself, who is this debt owed to? It's just a bunch of bankers. Unsecured debt is something that you don't even have to pay. So if people would just wake up, we don't have to go through all this crap anymore. It was a busy weekend with the Paris attacks. Obama's been outed. Vladimir Putin at the G20 summit outed 40 countries at the G20 summit that were funding ISIS and are all to blame for the Paris crisis, and the Syrian crisis, and the Iraq crisis, and the Libya crisis, and the Ukraine crisis. And Putin's the only grown-up in the room that's calling all these people frauds. I think people in America are starting to wake up a little bit what's going on, and thank God for the internet. And please like and share my video. Comment if you would. Let me know what's going on out there. See ya.